Have you ever found yourself constantly busy and rushing around, but not seeing the results that you were planning on for your sales and business growth? Are the people in your team not as productive as you want them to be, which may be getting in the way of, quotas or daily goals? Or maybe you feel like there are just so many things that you should have been doing and they should have been done yesterday, but they're causing you tremendous stress today. If you've ever experienced the scenarios I just described, you're not the first. Hi, I'm Doug C. Brown, and in this video, I'm going to show you what you can do to change your situation, assuming that you want to change it and willing to break the cycle. Instead of just being busy, you want to be productive. So to change from being busy into being productive, we must look at two things, the processes and the people as human beings. Let's start with the processes first. To be productive in your sales revenue growth journey, you must have massive clarity. First, one must be clear on the key things that will bring money into the business, because very often businesses, especially the newer ones, are focused on creating brand positioning before they've established the financial stability in their business, and they're spending an inordinate amount of time creating amazing websites, brochures, posts, articles, social media, all keeping them constantly busy. But I would say these businesses are not being very productive because they're mostly focused on branding. And if their goal is to grow their sales revenue, then the majority of the daily activities must be focused on that. To see results, one must constantly ask themselves this question: what are the key activities that will bring in money now? We must focus on what will produce sales first, and we don't want to go out of business before we establish our brand. So let's focus on being productive in relation to sales. Always look at the process of the customer journey and identify the areas that cause productivity challenges. Maybe that's within your initial contact. Maybe it's within the contact of the potential client. Maybe it's closing the sale. Maybe it's taking too much time. Maybe you're just not getting enough qualified leads. Whatever it is, once you identify those challenges, we must focus on the solution and be very clear about what step in the customer journey in that process should look like in that stage. From what you do to what you shouldn't do to the overall responsibilities. And we must look at if your people also are being consistently trained to perform better at each and every step of the journey. For example, before I started working with one of my former clients, everyone in their company was experiencing the frustration that comes along, with being busy without hitting the company goals. They were constantly busy running around and rushing around with new ideas to implement within the company. And they were doing very well on their front end, but they weren't getting the results they were expecting. Even though their front end was cash flow positive, without the right system in place on the back end, they stopped growing, and eventually they had a 12% loss overall in revenue. So when we assessed the company, we were able to address the back-end process, and the business became far more productive with far more amazing results, positive, profitable revenue coming in. Another very important factor in seeing more results, and not surprising at all, is the people involved. I had a company I was working with that grew from 3 million to 17 million in 1 year. This was great, but all their employees were just extremely stressed out. They knew they were earning money, but they couldn't see the bankable money in the company itself. So after doing an internal company assessment, we discovered that they had $11 million uncollected over 6 months on their books. Turned out they didn't even have the right person, though, in the spot of bookkeeping or the correct person collecting the money, and that was the challenge. So the need to be aware of that, having the wrong person in a position not only might cause you stress, but it might actually cause you to go out of business. If you want to grow your business, you can't be afraid to change the people in your company if needed, and you must at least make your employees' responsibilities clear, as you want to have regular meetings with them to update them on the progress, results, and the areas that they can improve upon, and they can do the same for you. Another thing to address is your people's effectiveness. You or your people in your team or your company might not have enough energy because of poor time management or maybe even bad personal health habits, and some of the people might feel overwhelmed, or maybe they've been burned out in the past, so they just pretend to be busy and they're not focusing on getting things done that move the needle for your business. I'll paraphrase Steve Jobs here, who said, "If you're having too many hard or bad days in a row, I know it's something that I need to change, and I'll change something." So in sales, processes and people always go together. So the clearer you are as the leader on the processes and who and how you should perform on every single step of the process, the less you will be experiencing problems and being busy instead of productive. Assessment planning and constant training for your team is something that must be in your company all the time to get better sales revenue growth. It's like being a professional sports player. For professional sports teams to stay at the top of their game, they need to have the right processes. They need to have the right people in the right positions and constantly training to address the blind spots and focus on what can be done better. Thanks for watching. This is Doug C. Brown, and if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, please like it and subscribe to my channel to hear more sales revenue growth insights. Also, please comment to me and let me know your thoughts, as well as what you'd like to see me talk about next. To your success.